So we left off with the idea that globalized supercapitalism is destroying the U.S.'s long-term economic competitiveness. And I've given you the example of the finance sector taking 8% instead of 2% of the economy, and the pharma medical sector taking 16% instead of 2% of the American economy. Intellectual property laws slowing down, stifling innovation, concentrating wealth into fewer and fewer hands. And then we've got the issue of the military-industrial complex, which is basically the war on drugs system, the war on terror systems, roughly. The war on terror system has active military operations going on in about a third of all the Arab Muslim countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan, efforts to destabilize and pressurize Iran, active in Iraq, now activated in Syria, sold the largest weapon sale in history to the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia under early Obama, $200 billion. So obviously heavily involved there. Naval base in Bahrain. We've tended to support various elements to have common objectives with. So it's a conservative elements in general, the Gulf states, and they're Sunni, and so they don't like socialists. So then supercapitalism gets systems in place where they can get a big piece of the action. Libya, they're doing extremely well, except it's too damn dangerous after what they did to the country to enjoy the profits to the extent. But they're going to be handing the contracts out because the country is being split. It's being split between the conservative ideologues who have taken the country over and the people who did the heavy lifting, the military-industrial complex, which is the oligarchy of the West. And so in the case of the war on terror, war on drug systems, the war on terror system with the U.S. military budget, the costs in terms of our deficit in structural overspending on military, so this is interest, you could say 300 to 500 billion a year in interest is traceable to the national debt. Of course, these interests have dipped now that the monetary policy is such to drive interest rates to nearly zero. But that has other consequences. There's no free lunch. And some would argue that this is speeding inequality to the top, because the only people that really have access to 1% money are the very top systems and powers. And then they have no cost to their money, so if they are allowed to leverage up, they can just make infinite profits if there's anybody out there to lend to. Now, in the case of the military budget alone is $700 to $800 billion now, and national security systems add another couple of $100 billion. When you're all said and done with it, it adds up to about $1.2 trillion. And then domestic security, police, corrections, war on drugs, the correctional industrial system is about $400 billion. And so a normal court and police system would be under $100 billion. Normal domestic security systems for a country of our size, ours is $400 billion. A reasonable military might be something in the neighborhoods of $300 billion. National security systems might be 10 or 20 or 30 billion, but it's draining out $1 and $6 out of your pocket. So now you've almost been robbed of half your money before you as an economy can develop competitiveness. But wait, these things that you're investing in actually are sort of evil powers. So they do have a benefit if you exploit them, these evil powers. So in the case of the military-industrial system, if you develop an offensive edge, it plays in perfectly to the strategy of boxing around the world. Boxing, blowing up, smashing, invading. And so we've got Libya, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, Afghanistan, good Lord. And then we have this sort of post-Soviet unipolar worldview, and then they talk of the New World Order. Well, this New World Order doesn't need to be nice to the people and have a competitive advantage if, as an elite, it gradually co-opts and corrupts every single national entity until it's all part of one big market that these top people can dominate. And that appears to be what's going on. So the other dark power they develop, of course, is a surveillance state. And this type of big data is quite useful. And in fact, in a Soviet or totalitarian, including National Socialist system, this data could be very useful in forming and shaping citizens' dossiers, as Keith Alexander, commanding general of Army, Navy, Air Force, and Cyber Command and NSA, has said. So we do have a definite aristocracy, oligarchy, with very powerful sounding sinister names: CEO of Chevron, Comcast, BlackRock, POTUS, DNI director, Directorate of National Intelligence, so there is definitely a ruling class, and they are rumbling into Syria now. And what they have in mind for us is they don't care that they're impoverishing us. The press has betrayed us, is absolutely unquestioning slavish adherence to this corporatist cabal. And we can only pray for Teddy Roosevelt right now, at the very least, on the trustbuster side. But he had his own plenty of problems. My name is Alexander Hagan. Good night and good luck.